Think about the last time you walked out your front door with absolutely no intention of spending a single cent. You tap a card to get on the bus, you buy a coffee to use a restroom, you feed a digital meter just to leave your car on the street. If you want to just sit, exist, and maybe talk to a stranger without paying an entry fee or renting a seat by the hour, your options shrink to near zero. We often treat the modern loneliness epidemic as a psychological failure or a lack of personal effort. However, looking at the physical layout of our cities suggests the problem is built directly into our surroundings. Over the last 40 years, the physical spaces that once anchored our social lives have begun to disappear. To understand why we feel so isolated, we have to look at what has been physically removed from our daily lives. In 1989, sociologist Ray Oldenburg proposed a framework for human happiness. He observed that fulfilling lives are divided into three distinct realms. The first place is your home, private and reserved for family. The second place is your workplace or school, mandatory and structured. But a healthy society relies on the third place. These are public, relaxing, neutral grounds where people gather outside their professional lives. You can see this structural need woven into cities all over the world. Historic European towns were built around the central stone piazza, intentionally designed to draw residents out of their homes and into a shared hub. A true third place operates by specific rules. Your job title doesn't matter. The main activity is conversation. And most importantly, there is either no cost to enter or the cost is so low that anyone can participate. For centuries, people relied on these free spaces to build community, but in the modern era, they have become increasingly rare. The disappearance of free gathering spaces began with a deliberate urban planning strategy known as hostile architecture. Under the justification of preventing crime and loitering, city planners started treating public areas as liabilities. They installed physical deterrents directly into the environment. When you add metal dividers to a park bench, you make it uncomfortable to sit for long periods. If you can't sit, you can't gather. Slowly, our cities transition from habitats built for human life into frictionless pass-through zones for cars. With the physical public square stripped away, the private sector stepped in to fill the void, turning the concept of community into a product. Enter the modern corporate coffee shop. It positions itself as a communal living room, but it operates as a business. You are paying a high hourly rent, disguised as a premium latte, just to occupy a chair. Even if you pay that entry fee, the culture inside has shifted. These spaces function as secondary offices. The people sitting inches away from each other are wearing noise-canceling headphones and staring into screens, sending a universal signal to the room: do not approach me. Every square inch of the modern city has been optimized for commerce. You are either at home, at work producing capital, or in retail consuming it. Simply being in a space has been turned into a transaction. As the physical spaces vanished, the tech industry offered a convenient narrative. We don't need physical parks anymore. We have the internet. On paper, the internet looks exactly like a third place. It is accessible, it operates on conversation, and your physical social status doesn't matter behind an anonymous username. But this chart illustrates a biological deficit. To our brains, the digital third place is a mirage. When you argue on a forum, your brain gets a quick, erratic spike of dopamine. What it does not get is oxytocin. That is the chemical triggered by physical proximity and eye contact, the elements required to form a sense of trust and belonging. Digital spaces also kill serendipity. In a public square, you navigate around people with different worldviews. Online, algorithms function as strict bouncers, filtering out anyone who doesn't share your exact ideology. We abandon the messy reality of physical interaction for a set of highly curated, deeply isolating digital echo chambers. The consequence of this shift is a society running on a treadmill of isolation. We work longer hours, surrounded by millions of people in dense urban centers, yet report feeling more alone than ever. But the death of the third place is not a permanent condition. Curing this epidemic doesn't require us to invent a new technology. It requires an intentional shift in how we value public resources. It means actively funding and utilizing the spaces that still exist, like the massive reading rooms of our public libraries, where hundreds of people can gather quietly for free. It means spending our money at independent businesses that encourage lingering rather than rushing customers out the door. And it means demanding that our city planners prioritize walkable plazas for humans over parking lots for cars. Genuine human connection is a core biological requirement. It should never come with a cover charge. In our next episode, we will look at the exact psychological mechanisms digital platforms use to keep you locked in those artificial spaces. Until then, try leaving your phone at home, step outside, and go find a physical place to simply exist.
If you want to understand the deep, hidden forces shaping global conflicts, hit that subscribe button. Welcome to Contextalyst. Let's connect the dots.